We record. Hold on. There we go. Alright, so what's up, everybody? Moron 13 here. I know I was supposed to record last week, but the finals weeks are finally coming up, and, well, I'm kind of a little swamped with that, so we're doing that, which I have a couple of announcements to make before we get on with this finale, mainly being that the JJK what-ifs will be put on hold, and reason being because I've decided to just personally reread JJK all the way until the end. And so that's going to take up some time with that. So all the JJK what-ifs will be put on hold until further notice. With that being, now we have to talk about the 3 what-ifs that are replacing the JJK what-ifs. Along with replacing this one, as Season 2 probably won't come out until around December. Season 2 probably won't come out for this one until around December hits. So what's replacing this until then? Well, that being, as well, you saw, I posted a side story of, well, the Omni, My Hero one. And so that's coming back full on. We're going with the 2 Heroes movie. Now, then, besides that one, we have 2 extra new what-ifs. What if Deku had Sonic's powers, which, listen to me, one isn't a generic, what if Zuko just had Sonic speed? It's more so of the fact that basically synopsis for the what if is that Zuko finds a Chaos Emerald, and that leads to all 7 activating and spreading Chaos energy around the world, thus giving multiple characters in My Hero universe same personality traits as some of the ones in Sonic, along with their powers, like Zuko is Sonic, Katsuki is Shadow, Ochako is Amy, so on and so forth. Amina is Rouge. You get it. You kind of get it, right? So we're going to be doing that, and that's going to be the next what if to come out tomorrow, possibly. I just got to get everything I need to do for that one. So there's that, along with the fact that, now then for the next one, this one, what if, is more of a storytelling, like how I'm doing with this one. So a personal series of something that's, wait a minute. Well, I should explain that. Super Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission. That's the game that what if is going to be based off of. Basically, how I would have the characters, have them do their things. Basically, a own series. Which also, after that's done, that's going to be replaced by a Dragon Ball Xenoverse one. I have zero idea who I'm going to make the main character. Who knows? It might just be Lincoln. Who fucking knows? So we're going to do on that one. But right now, let's get on to the Season 1 finale of Laotin. Okay. We start this story off around the dead of night with a car speeding down the highway at, high speed, running from the police. While they're doing this, unfortunately, a fire tornado ends up popping in front of them, leading them to stop the brakes. As they see who's in the fire tornado, obviously. With that being, Inferno, the super Inferno, as I can tell by the, black pants and, just really the black pants right now. Along with the fact that he doesn't have a symbol on his chest. And along with who's in the fire tornado is Overload. They see it, and by the time they start to try and pull back, the car tires end up getting popped with turquoise crystals as they turn over to see Triumphant transformed into his Diamond Head form. And they also see Changeling. That's Chandler's. Changeling, while in his bug form. The crooks almost immediately get out and just put their hands up as they know there's no running from 4 of them. Which afterwards the police think before they go off. Eventually meeting back up at a little parking lot where Lindsay and Lenny is. With Lincoln and Zuko transforming, not Lincoln. Lincoln and Chandler transforming back and taking their mask off, with Liam also turning back to human, and him and Clyde taking their mask off. As they get back, they get into the van as they're playing this off as having another sleepover. So thus, things don't seem out of weird with them driving back to the Loud House before eventually stop. Well, first they stop to get something to eat, and then go back to the house. Although, unbeknownst to them, up in space, we see one of Vilgax's robots telling him that his augmentation is complete. With Vilgax stepping out of the pod and telling him that it's time he retrieves the Omnitrix himself, with his red glowing eyes shivering bright and dark in the darkness. As well, we see Lincoln yelp, basically letting out a scream while waking up. As he looks up at his surroundings, his hair is down. As he looks around and sees in the living room that has him and the boys passed out after getting back home. This scream, however, woke everyone else up as they ask him what's up, with him telling them that he's had the same dream about that squid thing. They look at Lincoln with somewhat of how to say it, with remorse. They look at Lincoln with some slight remorse, as they know these nightmares have been plaguing him for nearly 2 months now. And this is when Lynn Searing comes in from the kitchen asking Lincoln if he's all right. With Lincoln telling him he is. With him saying that breakfast is almost ready. With the 4 boys getting up and taking each turn, going to the bathroom to get their stuff clean, normal bathroom stuff. Now then, this is when all the Loud sisters finally start to wake up too, as they're coming out, saying hi to the 4. Wow. Although Lynn does kind of give Chandler the stink eye a bit. She knows from going to the same middle school as him that Chandler was Lincoln's bully. Even though Ronnie, with Lincoln noticing this and being somewhat miffed about it, as Ronnie Ann was also his bully, but because she's a girl, they thought that she liked him. Which Lincoln can't help but think about the fact of how kind of stupid that sounds all of a sudden. Like, sure, a girl bullying you, yeah, of course she likes you, in Lincoln's times. But they all head down, just getting ready to eat. While Rita does look at Lincoln, the eye bags, along with just everything else. And while she's happy, her son and her husband are, finally bonding from what she knows. She kind of wonders, but why Lincoln always looks so tired, but she digresses, which once this time we skip over to oh Lord, I forgot we skip over to Royalwood's retirement home, which we see Albert thinking to himself that it's about time he spent his family a visit, along with the time he thinks to himself that's finally time he tells Lincoln, along with his friends. As we see him walk out with a pair of keys, head into the RV that was in the last episode before getting in and driving. Now then, we skip some time. While the 4 boys are downstairs playing games, we skip up to the Loud sisters' room. As we see Lisa with a diagram of all of Lincoln and Chandler's transformations, with Clyde and Liam there too, obviously in their superhero forms, as Lisa is starting to tell her sisters that along with the little frog, she even has a little diagram of gray matter from Small Problems, which, yes, it's still happening in this universe, even though I didn't do the episode. Why? Because I just don't like it. But, yeah. So with Lisa telling them, have they all noticed something about all the Aeon heroes? Which, all of the Aeon superheroes that, along with those triumphant and changeling kids, about how they have the symbol that they have on them when they transform, with all of the sisters unaware of Lincoln and of the boys' identities, somewhat slightly agreeing. With Lisa then saying that, from what she's gathered is that they have the same symbol, along with then pointing to a diagram that shows Lincoln and Chandler's wrist. And with her saying that, do they notice how their elder sibling unit, titled brother, and one of his friends have the exact same watch symbol? With some of the sisters being slightly confused about the fact that it's green, with them saying such as they thought it was red or blue, not green and yellow. With some of the sisters, i.e. Luna and Lenny, looking on slightly stressed, with Lily eventually pointing out triumphant, saying Winky. With the other sisters looking at her, wondering what she's on about, or at least with Lenny quickly stepping in and saying, she must think that because she loves her big brother so much that she thinks that he's triumphant, trying to spill out some type of lie before eventually saying that they're going downstairs, with Lenny and Luna grabbing Lily and telling the 2-year-old that she can't be trying to expose, saying that Lincoln has a secret identity. With the young girl still being somewhat confused about all of this, but still listening nonetheless. Which this is when they hear a knock on the door, and here comes Albert. With him just telling everyone hi, with all of the sisters coming down too from the stairs, just saying hi to their grandfather. Which Lana eventually notices Albert's RV, with her asking what he called it, with him saying the rust bucket is what he calls it, along with telling him that he decided to pull it out for old novelty purposes, with Rita realizing that he hasn't pulled that out since her mom died. This leads to him looking over and asking Lincoln and just the main four about if they want to ride in it. With them looking somewhat excited when he asked us, but nonetheless, while some of the other sisters give protests, with Rita eventually stepping in and telling them that let it happen since Albert wants to spend some time with Lincoln and his friends. Which eventually they all get inside the rust bucket and drive off. Now then, while they're driving, this is when robots start coming down, shooting out blasts, basically terrorizing the city with people running away and some getting shot and hurt. And with this, while Albert's driving, he's thinking about just saying no as a spiked ball comes flying from the air, landing in the ground, and as out comes Vilgax, with Lincoln looking at him and telling him, "That's the guy from my nightmares." As he hops out the RV, with Albert telling him no, which Clyde realizes he's saying this, but it's too late as they already start changing their suit. Well, I say they wouldn't have time. As they start getting out, with Lincoln and Chandler using the Omni and Omegatrix to transform into Heat Blast and Hotshot. Before proceeding to blast him with fire. Proceeding to blast him with fire, shooting him back, shooting the Squid Vax, with him saying that he's Vilgax and he's come for the Omnitrix, along with saying the fact that he's going to take the other watch too, as having 2 Omnitrixes is better than one. This leads to slight banterous fight for a little bit, with Albert watching this before eventually turning on the RV and ramming Vilgax with it, sending him flying back, with him telling the boys to get in the car now. Which, while they don't want to, they realize that Lincoln's grandfather is serious, and so they do. With all 4 getting back into the RV with the watches timing out. With him saying that they shouldn't have messed with Vilgax, with Lincoln asking him exactly how does he know who this is. And thus saying that he'll explain everything. And saying that he'll explain everything when they get to somewhere safe. Although, unannounced to them, Vilgax can see running behind them. With Lincoln and Chandler saying that, telling that they can't waste any time with him out there. With Albert trying to tell them no, but it's too late as Lincoln and Chandler transform into a stinkfly and stinkbug before flying out, which leads to Vilgax jumping up and basically grabbing both of them before collapsing into a building. Lincoln and Chandler blast him off the first time before he's able to jump up again, grabbing onto both of them and flying straight through a building, hitting a gas pipe and causing an explosion to go off. After the explosion is done, after the smoke clears, it's revealed to see Vilgax holding Lincoln and Chandler by the necks before eventually using his fingers to tap the watch symbols on their heads, transforming them back. Which after seeing that these are two children, he enragingly says, "A child. Two of the most powerful weapons in the universe are in the heads of a child." With Lincoln and Chandler saying that they're going to be 13 soon, so shut up. Although this leads to Vilgax throwing the two into a wall to get them to shut up. Which, after coming down, he then gets surrounded by the rust bucket again. With Albert coming out telling them, "Claws off my grandson," and his friend Vilgax. With Vilgax saying Albert, you know what, why not? Albert Tennyson. Yeah. Since he doesn't have a canonical last name, and I thought, why not? Why not? It'd be fun. Albert Tennyson. No, it's either Tennyson or Baxter. Let's go with Baxter for now. But if I like Tennyson more, I'm going to stick with that. But yeah, with him saying Albert Baxter, he never thought he would see him so decrepit. With Vilgax saying in all his years, he never thought he would see him so decrepit and old. Telling him that he's growing weak in his old age. With him saying that maybe, but before he says now, as Liam comes from the front, blasting him with fire, sending him flying back. With Clyde going to grab the two as they drive off. With Lincoln and Chandler being unconscious from the throw. And thus he looks up before pinging to a ship saying siphon. Scan for any DNA of scan for any DNA that links to Albert Baxter, along with the Pyronite and the Osmosian. Oh, wait, no. He says scan for the DNA of all 5 of the ones that left. Albert Baxter, the Osmosian, the Pyronite, and the human. And with a siphon letting out a scan that shows multiple beeping areas, he thinks to himself, good. As Vilgax goes back into his little ship thing, but goes back to his little ship thing to carry out his plan. While this is happening, we skip to the ship, with Clyde asking Albert again how exactly in the hell does he know Vilgax, which eventually Lincoln and Chandler start to cough as they wake up, with Chandler having some striking head pain, and Lincoln being morally okay as he's already started to heal. Which it's also shown that Chandler has a bandage wrapped around his head. With him asking what happened, and them explaining what exactly happened. Telling him that they're going to stop by their house to grab all... That he's going to stop by their houses to grab all of their families to make sure Vilgax can't get to them. With him telling that he'll explain everything about Vilgax on the way, saying that they have to get to Mount Rushmore. Well, yes, I know technically Mount Rushmore is like far, far, far from Michigan. Let's just act like it's a 4-hour drive in the rust bucket. Okay? Okay. But first, let's go on. As they pull up to the outhouse, and everything seems normally okay, as Charles comes out barking, before eventually seeing Lincoln and jumping at him, which I'm also going to say that Charles isn't a puppy in this universe anymore. I say he'd be, I say he'd be about like a year old at this point, so he'd be like a big dog. Like maybe just a little bit smaller than Ben's dog in the classic series at the end of Perfect Day. I mean, at the end of season 4 of the classic series. So yeah. So that, Lincoln asking Charles what's wrong, boy, as they walk into the house and almost immediately see the damage that's been done to it. In the back, there's a roof that's been ripped open, along with the fact that the stairs have been nearly tore off. And just looking around at the destroyed house, they see one thing, something on the table, a hollow disc. Albert asks, as Lincoln grabs it and plays it, as a hologram of Vilgax pops up saying that, telling him that Wilder of the Omnitrix, I have captured your family, and if you want them back, come get them. With him then adding on one final thing, for the Osmosian, Human, and Pyronite, he's also captured their families as well, as they've dared to step in the way of Vilgax, and they must suffer for it. Tell him to come with the Omnitrix Bearer. Come with the Omnitrix Bearer along with the boy with the other watch. Telling him that he means it before the hologration art. Well, he means it or else they might not have a family anymore. And after this, the hologram cuts off, with Lincoln almost immediately crushing it and slamming his head into the table, breaking it and punching a hole in the floorboard, telling him, Grandpa, explain, we need to go now. Well, obviously freaking out, with his grandfather telling him, let's get to Mount Rushmore first. With Lincoln saying that's about a 7-hour drive. We don't have 7 hours. With Albert telling Lincoln that they could make it in 4 in the rust bucket, and he'll tell him everything on the way. And thus, with that, they get into the RV and, rust bucket and drive off. I say after feeding the pets, though, just to let them have food, just in case. With Albert explaining how he knows Vilgax, the plumbers, and everything. With Lincoln looking at as Lincoln does remember something when he visits Albert. With him saying plumbers, that's what you almost said a couple of that week ago. With Albert telling Lincoln, yes, that's what he nearly said. Telling him that they were a secret organization. That's why they were named the Plumbers. They were meant to flush out leaks in society, keep things hidden up, fix the problem. To fix it, and, he thought that he had killed Vilgax a little bit before Lori was born. He thought he had killed Vilgax, but as it turns out, he was wrong. Oh, wait, no. A little bit before Rita graduated college. So let's say that. He thought he ended up killing Vilgax by sending him to his ship and letting it explode. He never thought he would have survived and has been antagonizing his grandson for nearly 2 months now. With this, Lincoln looks at his grandfather as Lincoln starts saying that they should go over some type of plan. And thus, the 5 end up starting to converse over a plan to deal with Vilgax, which we now go up farther in the sky, around to where Mount Rushmore is, up in the sky, as we see the multiple families of Lincoln, Chandler, more like, actually no, Chandler wouldn't have any living relatives. Never mind. Chandler wouldn't have any living relatives. His parents are dead. Yeah. And well, he wouldn't have the same DNA match as his Butler, so yeah. So Butler Tom is all right, everybody. But as we see the Loud family, the McGee family, and McBride family all tied up, with Rita asking the terrifying alien in front of them, what does he want with them? All of them. As Lily is seen crying inside a soundproof orb along with Liam's little sister, who's trying... Along with Liam's little sister, the two girls somewhat... Actually, never mind, just Lily crying. Although Liam's sister looks like she's on the verge of crying. With them all asking us, as Vilgax starts to explain why the Omnitrix, the most powerful device in the universe, ended up on the hands of a child, of all things. And with them noticing that that's Lincoln's watch, which leads to the realization that Lincoln is triumphant and that watch is everything he does. As he then goes over he tells that to the Loud family as he turns his head to the McGee and McBrides, tell them now for them. Well, also he shows the Omegatrix too, saying that someone was able to make a somewhat decent copy of the Omnitrix, and he still wants it. But he then turns his head to the McBrides and McGees as he tells them that, yes, he shows them Liam and Clyde with just using their powers, probably from the spine. Just using their powers while they're in their suits, telling them that the Osmosian and Pyronite brats dared to get in his way, and now they must suffer the consequences. Which this leads to Liam's father asking his mother something about their son being, half fire alien. Along with everyone asking the McBrides about Clyde too. And this leads to her explaining about the whole situation with Liam's first actual father and her first husband. Along with finally Luna and Lenny Crack saying that they knew about Lincoln's secret about all four of their secrets and helped them hide it. With Lynn Sr. saying the same thing. With Rita somewhat yelling at them, asking why would they let Lincoln do that? It's dangerous. His life could be on the line. Which, just as with Lucy looking up with her bangs and telling Vilgax that her big brother will come and stop him. Which this leads to him walking in front of Lucy before bringing his claws back and slashing at her. With everyone screaming, with some looking away. Although when they do open their eyes, they see that he just cut Lucy's bangs to reveal her terrified eyes. And much like Lincoln, she actually has blue, with her dark sapphire blue eyes, revealing how terrified she actually was, with him saying the next time she speaks out of line, the next thing he'll cut will be her throat. With him walking away, before, again, for the third time today, something crashes through his ship hull, smacking him in the face, sending him flying back. As it's revealed to be the Rust Bucket, as the main four stamp out, with Albert having a gun, as he says claws off his family, blasting him with a blaster, sending him flying back, with him saying Baxter. With the main four getting out before quickly releasing their families from their shackles. Well, first Lincoln and Chandler just straight up transform into forearms and Clyde smack. With Clyde grabbing hold of the two and absorb some DNA, which leads to him growing taller and more red, along with just him sprouting 2 extra arms. As the 3 boys, along with Liam, who transforms into his Pyronite form, obviously, proceeds to let them all go. With Rita telling Lincoln that he's in so much trouble when this is over. With him telling his mother that now is not the time. As, they see that Albert's getting ready to get attacked by well, getting ready to get attacked by Vilgax, which leads to Lincoln jumping up and basically slamming, which leads to Lincoln jumping up and slamming him into the wall. Although he throws Lincoln away, breaks Albert's gun and smacks him away, telling him that the only way their families make it out alive is Lincoln and Chandler give themselves up. After the boys look at each other, Lincoln and Chandler transform back, along with the fact that they say fine. With this, Albert ends up driving off, and ends up making the families get into the RV as Lincoln and Chandler are tied up. And basically the family get in the rush bucket and flies off with Lincoln and Chandler still staying up there, with Vilgax eventually accidentally unlocking the randomized mode, which leads to Lincoln and Chandler switching, although unbeknownst to Vilgax on the floor while everyone is wondering why they would keep Lincoln and Chandler behind. Liam gets out, along with Clyde, grabbing Liam and absorbing some power energy, with the two raising their heat as high as they can before shooting a blast off into the ship hall, into Vilgax's ship hall, along with then flying up there themselves. Which sends Vilgax somewhat flying back a bit as they get up there, and Clyde releases them from the shackles, only for Vilgax to then come as he proceeds to tackle all four boys out of the ship, with them all being able to break away as Lincoln and Chandler switch to upgrade and update as Liam and Clyde are able to blast them away. Although eventually this leads to them getting thrown into Mount Rushmore causing cracks, which things go somewhat swimmingly as they try and fight Vilgax, but realizing that he's way too strong, sending them flying back before eventually grabbing Lincoln and Chandler, who's transformed into Accelerate and Rush, spinning them around by the tail and throwing them hard enough, throwing them into the stone wall, with them coming out as Diamond Head and Diamond Breaker, shooting. Diamond Head and Diamond Breaker shooting out crystals at him, only for him to then grab the two by the head and slam them into the ground, causing even more cracks to appear on top of Mount Rushmore, which the watch times out for a quick second, with Lincoln wondering why, but it's too late as Vilgax ends up raising his hands, sharpening his claws before slashing down at Lincoln and Chandler. Liam and Clyde heard screams of pain, which the families down below also heard them. As we switch POV, as we switch to Chandler's POV as he's trying to get up, his face, specifically from around the top of his nose near his left eye, down to his cheek. I say down to right where his right eye is, hurts. As he still can look, but as he sees there's blood dripping on the ground, he's in pain. And while also delirious from the pain, he looks over at Lincoln and realizes that whatever happened to him, Lincoln had 100 times worse. As Lincoln is gripping his eye, and there's blood, and a lot of blood below Lincoln. He's gripping his eye, his right eye. He realizes, along with the fact that there are slight tears coming from his face, as he's trying to clutch his eye to keep any more blood from spilling out. He realizes that Vilgax must have, gone for his eye. And right as Vilgax is about to go again, he ends up getting blasted away by fire by Liam, with them rushing over to the two and looking at them, realizing that they're in pain. And while Vilgax thinks about going after them, he looks to see the rust bucket driving off with him then jumping and landing in front of it before eventually grabbing, with Rita coming out and trying, but she's quickly knocked away as Vilgax grabs Lucy and Lenny. Before, as well, the next thing that's seen is Wild Mutt, Diamond Breaker, and Liam and Clyde landing in front of him, with Vilgax showing that he has to. Two of Lincoln's sisters telling him to give up or else he kills them both. And with this leads to Lincoln and Chandler sitting down, with the other two doing as well, as Vilgax ends up shutting off the randomized mode, transforming them back, along with throwing Luna back down to her family, but keeping Lucy. As he does this, he swats Chandler and Clyde away before grabbing, Liam and Clyde away before grabbing Chandler and Lincoln and taking them back to his ship. Lucy does wake up and, she sees her older brother with a gaping scar over his right eye. Well, more like a gaping gash wound. The same with Chandler, except it's about, Yuji's cut, the cut Yuji has on his face, it's that, but a bit longer and worse. Now, she looks over to see them in his other hand, with Lincoln and Chandler somewhat looking up to see the fear on Lucy's face and realizing they have to keep fighting, even if it's just a little bit more, as they try to wiggle their arms, before Lincoln eventually is able to form a slight shield around them that shoves Vilgax's hand away from them, sending the two land on the ground, as Lincoln looks and sees that Albert had planted something, with it titling self-destruct on Vilgax's ship before they left. Lincoln and Chandler getting up just a bit while in plane, delirious. They look, Chandler looks with both eyes and Lincoln looks with one to see as the Omni Omegatrix are going yellow. They almost immediately slam down at it though, before eventually coming with the green and yellow. I say that the Omegatrix would be glowing green. Yeah, let's say that green's the scanning mode for the Omegatrix. After slamming down, they proceed to scream out. They scream out their names, being Loud Gax and Loud Gax and McCain Gax. Yeah, I haven't came up with a better name for Chandler. Screaming out their names as Vilgax realizes that the watch must have scanned his DNA, and even including his cybernetic enhancements. As they rush at Vilgax, punching him, basically doing everything they can to him, even using a whole muscle thing to grow out their muscles, sending him flying back. With the self-destruct countdown finally reaching 0 as the ship blows up, with everyone looking from down below, with horror somewhat stricken on their face. Well, the next thing they see is two flaming things coming out. In turn, they see Lincoln and Chandler as their flaming transformations, flying down with Lincoln before eventually crashing down into the ground in front of them. Eventually, the two walk out, bloody, battered, and bruised, along with Lincoln holding Lucy, who's relatively okay. Lincoln made sure to protect her from any of the fall. With Lincoln eventually handing Lucy to his grandfather before him and Chandler pass out with, Liam and Clyde catching them. And with that, that's where we're going to end Season 1 of Loud 10 off. And,